Alright, Mr. Satko here, and welcome back to another Company Heroes 2 replay action. And today it is a 1 vs 1 on Langreskaya. I believe I'm saying that right. I'm bad with the Russian names. And up top here we have OKW momo4sho, and I really like that name. I think it's kind of humorous. And at the bottom we have Vulpine as the US forces. A pretty interesting map. Fuel on the right side, fuel on the left side, and the munitions, as usual, directly in the middle, aside from each other. Stars very easy to capture for their respective sides, and the middle one will be the contested victory point. Riflemen, two riflemen squads coming out for the U.S. forces, and rear echelon troops already starting on that barbed wire in front of the cover, so that the enemy cannot get a hold of that. Schwerer Wehrmacht Schlepper just sitting in the OKW base. Not going to use it yet. Going to find a better spot for it a little later on. Stern Pioneers moving out. Already took the first territory point and moving down to the munitions point. Skipping the victory point. Not too worried about that. And we do have a Kuba wagon out for the OKW. And he is watching over this territory point. Going to start suppressing these troops right off the bat. So very unfortunate rifleman there. And if they can just get out of range, they'll be able to get up and get out of there. But they do get pinned. Very unfortunate. Gonna have to retreat out of there now. Kuba wagon backing up. Maybe it's gonna get a different spot, which would be strategically a good idea to put it into a different spot. And that way the U.S. forces thinks that maybe it's here and runs into it in a different area. But however, it keeps it here, right over this territory point, preventing the U.S. forces from getting this. So not too bad. Stern Pioneers now taking this territory point and also putting up their barbed wire in front of the cover to prevent the U.S. forces from using this. Definitely a really good strategy. Put the barbed wire right in front of the cover there so that your opponent can't use the cover, but you can still use the cover. Riflemen moving up to the center victory point. Going to try and take this from the OKW as soon as possible here, just to get the ball rolling. However, this Kuba wagon is being very, very annoying for the U.S. forces. U.S. forces now have 3 rifleman squads. However, one of the rifleman squads is a veteran because he used his elite rifleman training. So that's a pretty good skill there. Stern Pioneers moving up on these riflemen. And soon here, Stern Pioneers are actually in the latest patch that will be coming out July 21st. They will have a nice buff on them. They reinforce faster, and it costs less to reinforce them. And they're already pretty good, so I'm not sure why the needed buff. They did cost a lot to reinforce, but now not so much. Went down from about 42, I think, to 32, something like that, 40 to 32, somewhere around there. Definitely cheaper, and they reinforce faster, and they're already really good at close range, so a strange buff, if you ask me. Riflemen seeking cover in this house. However, there's a lot of forces coming in at them. I don't think they're going to be able to handle this. However, the one veterancy, they'll be a little bit better. Volksgrenadiers, two squads of Volksgrenadiers and Stern Pioneers all firing at this house. I don't think these riflemen are going to last too long here. And the pesky Kuba wagon still chasing off U.S. troops from the center here. However, the rear echelon troops moved all the way up the left side, took the entire left side of the map. Looks like the OKW owns the majority of the right side of the map, except for this little spot right here. Now Volksgrenadiers going right up to the windows, being brave, shooting these riflemen inside here. And the rear echelon troops now getting chased away by the Volksgrenadiers here. They're going to get chased away very soon. Not going to be able to handle against them. Riflemen moving outside the back of the house. Going to have to retreat soon here. Down to 3 men and half health, so he's going to be losing men very quickly. Kuba wagon still covering this middle. And Volksgrenadiers did chase away those rear echelon troops. Looks like they killed 2 out of the squad. So we're going to have to reinforce both of those now. Still chasing away these in the victory center. Schwerer Wehrmacht Schlepper still hasn't made one yet.
God damn it! Someone get us out of here! Incoming!
Now 2 squads of riflemen battling out with these Volksgrenadiers. Volksgrenadiers in this house across the way. But these riflemen choosing to stay a little bit back to attack these Volksgrenadiers here. But however, these Volksgrenadiers have good cover. So it's not really going to work out too good for these riflemen. They seem to be in a pretty bad spot. Stern Pioneers, 2 Volksgrenadier squads. Now the pesky old Kuba wagon firing on these riflemen. As soon as they get into this house, the Kuba wagon will open fire. Can't suppress them in the house, but still not very good for the U.S. forces right now.
Squad, get ready!
Riflemen are just 2, taking the fuel point on the west side, or east side of the map. And it looks like the OKW is now taking over the left side of the map, owning the majority of the map right now. So the U.S. force is a little bit in trouble here. Early in the game, though, so it could go either way. OKW now taking the western fuel point on the left side of the map. So now it will sort of even out for the both forces, as they will each have a fuel point. And they each have a munitions point, so fairly even. Did even up just a little bit in the time that I said that. Moving up a Raketenwerfer. A little bit early here for that, but just in case. However, he did bring it out just in time because it looks like the U.S. forces bring out an M20 scout car, or I think the utility car they call it for the U.S. forces, but same thing, right? Setting up some sandbags here, these Volksgrenadiers. However, these Volksgrenadiers are a little bit busy. They're getting shot at, and they're saying, oh, just get this sandbag wall up. And there they go, running off. Didn't get to complete it. We got orders, and those orders are sandbags, and they're building them damn sandbags. M20 utility car moving on out. However, there is a Raketenwerfer, and he's gonna see this utility car eventually and start wandering that Raketenwerfer over there. Although it will take a couple hits to destroy it, so he may just take one hit and then be able to get out. But sooner or later, he will get hit with a Raketenwerfer rocket.
Good to go. Attention.
Captain, or excuse me, Lieutenant. Guess I'm a little off on my military ranks there, but Lieutenant moving forward into the victory point with the BAR rifle that naturally comes with the Lieutenant. Rifleman taking the left side of the map. However, the OKW now taking the right side fuel point and laying down some sandbags over there too. However, there's a flat car and a Raketenwerfer over here. Going to do some pretty big damage to this utility car if it doesn't get out of there. However, the flak track has to set up first, so it actually has to stop moving before it can set up, and he may be out of the way before it even begins firing. Looks like he's going to take a few hits here. Now forcing his back armor, showing his back armor to it, and not a very good idea, but gets out of there just fine. Kuba wagon in trouble. Its main weapon has been destroyed, so now it's totally useless, and it is a pile of burning rubble now. Ooh, flak track actually destroyed an entire infantry troop there, squad rather. In just a few hits, that was very unlucky for the U.S. forces there. Volksgrenadiers now moving up towards the U.S. forces line here, taking the territory point. Get a few more resources from that. Riflemen and rear echelon squads fighting it out with these Volksgrenadiers here, although the Volksgrenadiers had the cover and these guys didn't, so sort of lost out on that battle.
Equip M2 flamethrowers.
Flamethrower now available for all the riflemen of the U.S. forces. U.S. forces has quite a bit of veterancy, much more veterancy than the OKW has so far. Panzer Fusiliers moving out, very good long range, but very, very weak troops.
We're losing a capture point.
Volksgrenadiers now taking the standard territory point. Looks like he lost those rear echelon troops. I didn't see him run away. Oh, no, he actually ran away with them. Just lost one of them.
Ready.
M20 utility car moving out again. Seeing what kind of damage it can cause here. And it would be very good against these Panzer Fusiliers, as the Panzer Fusiliers really don't have an answer for it. I believe they have an anti-tank rifle grenade, but it ain't no Panzerfaust, that's for sure. Incoming scout flak track. And it is setting up, but if he can get behind this cover, he might not be able to get shot at. Maybe right through here. And gets to safety just in time. So that is the downfall of the flak half-track. Although it is very, very good vehicle. Just takes a little time to set up. Has to lower these sides. Raketenwerfer moving off to the right.
Good to go here.
Gonna try and shoot some rockets at this lieutenant over here. That'll show him. That'll give him a what for. Rifleman moving forward now. And 2-star veterancy rifleman with a flamethrower. Not too bad early at this early in the game. So the U.S. force is definitely moving up in the world. He is using that elite training whenever it's up to gain some veterancy on his troops, make them a little bit better. Stern Pioneers retreating for some reason. Not really sure whether they were retreating. They could have gotten something done. However, well, there were riflemen and this utility car, but maybe didn't need to retreat right there. Volksgrenadiers chilling over here by the fuel point. Never completed this sandbags, and that would have been really nice for them to have completed those sandbags. They would have good cover over there when that utility car came. Lieutenant over here now using the OKW sandbags against them, and going to get behind this tractor here for really good cover against these Panzer Fusiliers, and I think these Lieutenant will defeat those Panzer Fusiliers, as the Panzer Fusiliers are very good long range, but sort of weak troops, die pretty easy. rear echelon troops taking the center victory point here. Flak track still just chilling over here in the middle. I think you should bring that over and start attacking this lieutenant here. But to each his own. Rakettenwerfer just aiming at this house, so if any of these troops get inside this house, the house is going to take a big punishment and will soon collapse after a good few shots. Flak track taking some bullets, but not too big of a deal for the flak track. Pretty heavily armored against rifle fire, that is. 2-star rifleman just got a promotion here against these these Fusiliers, and chased away those riflemen though, as their numbers were far greater. Here comes the flak half-track against these rear echelon troops, and they don't want any part of that. They're getting out of there. And he did use his Schwere Wehrmacht Schleppers to make a mechanized regiment headquarters and the battle group headquarters, but he put them in his base, which I always want to disagree with. I like to see them out and about, although there isn't much cover for it on this particular map. But I'd like to see them out and about and closer to the enemy, and then that way you can simply just run to it, run back and forth, and causes a lot of trouble for your enemy. Although it's easier to destroy out in the field. Here comes the flak track firing at these riflemen, and they are not in the cover from that flak track, so they took big damage on that, and this M20 utility car really needs to get out of there. As soon as this flak track steps up, it's going to do huge damage to this utility car. But he does back it up just out of the sight range here. He can't shoot through this hedgerow, which doesn't really make sense to me, but it's the way it goes. The Rakettenwerfer up in cover here, looking to launch rockets at anybody coming at that area. Mostly using it for now against the utility car. However, he doesn't bring it over. He could bring it over. He probably could have got a rocket on this utility car, and mostly using it to destroy the house whenever riflemen go in there. 2 squads of riflemen and a lieutenant moving up on this, and immediately retreats that Rakettenwerfer. He was going to lose that for sure if he hadn't have done that. Volksgrenadiers trying to defend this victory point here, but not going to be able to do it so well against this BAR lieutenant. Now flaming up this house here. Panzer Fusiliers in some big trouble here. 2-star rifleman with a flamethrower. And 2-star rifleman here against a flak track. And they're going to be taking big heat. Utility car moves up. It's going to take huge damage from this flak car. It needs to get out of there. And the Rakettenwerfer just barely missed that utility car. And he's trying to get out of here, but he can't go through the hay very well. Almost loses that utility car. And the building almost burned down. When it starts smoking like this, that means it's on the verge of being caught on fire. And once a building is caught on fire in this game, it is too late and will eventually burn to the ground. Utility car taking damage. Actually, these Panzer Fusiliers took out the main weapon and now blew up against the tree there, unfortunately. Volksgrenadiers taking back the left side. But all the action seems to be right in the middle on the right side right now. Rear echelon troops taking the fuel point, so the U.S. forces have both fuel points right now. So it's a big bonus to the U.S. forces.
Sherman ready.
Flak track hidden in the middle here, but the munitions point was neutralized. Now a second Rakettenwerfer moving on up. And there's a Sherman out on the field, a very somewhat early Sherman. Volksgrenadiers with Panzerschreck. I wish I had one of those. That'd be really fun, right? And a Sherman now forcing away some troops from the center here. However, there are 2 Rakettenwerfers, and they're going to be moving up against this Sherman for sure. And if that Sherman gets hit by 2 of them at once, it won't destroy it, but will do some damage, and I'll have to bring it back to base and repair it, which is a matter of time. Still haven't completed these sandbags. Not going to worry about it now. Volksgrenadiers trying to take the fuel point, but not going to happen. But they did neutralize it, which does take it away from the U.S. forces at the very least. Riflemen now burning up these Volksgrenadiers, and the Volksgrenadiers really aren't able to defend against this. They do have good cover, which helps them out a little bit against the fire, but here comes some Panzer Fusiliers coming around and cut them off and having to retreat those riflemen now. U.S. forces still leading in terms of veterancy, especially because he has the rifle company training.
Tactical point being captured.
So much more veterancy than the OKW troops, although the OKW has a bit more troops, I would say.
Supply line just got cut off.
Flak half-track still in the center. If you could bring the Sherman up here and take a couple shots, the rear armor of the flak track is showing here, so if he could hit that a couple times with that flak track, could take it out, maybe. Panzer Fusiliers chasing down this Sherman. Not going to be able to do anything to it. I think they're just distracting it for the moment and trying to take this standard territory point. But here comes 2 rifleman squads and the lieutenant going to chase away that Panzer Fusilier. So many Panzer names. So little time. Rakettenwerfer is now setting up for this Sherman in preparation. And if the Sherman gets anywhere in that radius, it's going to get hit by 2 rockets at once. Going to do some pretty big damage to it. Panzer Fusilier is moving over, seeking cover inside this house. Maybe not the best idea. It is smoldering, so if these riflemen, I'm not sure where the riflemen went with the flamethrower. Just coming out of the base just now. Could burn that house to the ground with them in it. Huge OKW force moving in on this Sherman here. Gonna get hit by a Panzerschreck, but hits the front armor. Doesn't do too much. Now turning around these Rakettenwerfer is gonna try and get through the smoke and try and hit this Sherman in the back. If they can do that, that Sherman will be in big trouble. But looks like it's gonna get away before lagging my computer just a little bit. Slightly unoptimized game. Volksgrenadiers against these riflemen here. 3-star riflemen with a flamethrower doing big damage. Having to get out of there immediately. Panzer Fusilier is really good at long range, so should do some damage to this. However, there's way too much U.S. firepower. It's going to have to get out of there as well. Sherman moving on back up. And right now, the OKW doesn't have much of an answer for this Sherman. They do have the Panzer Schrecks and the Rakettenwerfers, but so far, not really having much luck hitting it. 50 cal up and trying to suppress this big blob of Volksgrenadiers and Panzer Fusiliers, which is a very good choice. I was waiting on him to get an HMG there. And these Panzer Fusiliers, 2 sets of Volksgrenadiers firing at this lieutenant. Rifleman trying to take the territory point right in front of the OKW base. However, they're getting hit by all kinds of stuff here from very well-covered units. Sherman, a little bit low on health. I would suggest that he would repair that, because if he came into trouble, you definitely don't want to have a little bit health missing. Make it a fighting position right here in front of the OKW base. I definitely agree with that. I like to see that sort of thing. Tons of OKW troops all squished in the OKW base. Not really able to get out because of all the troops that were here. However, there's nothing there anymore, so you could come out. Just the HMG there. White Phosphorus moving down here, getting dropped. Didn't really get too much. Might have killed a couple units. Not sure. Didn't really see it. And now the U.S. forces have taken almost the entire map. Very little spots left. Just this, and looks like this is only owned by the OKW. These 2 riflemen here, very brave, just against this entire army here. Volksgrenadiers also moving up. They want to get their Iron Cross. And they're going to make it out of there. They're definitely going to get their Iron Cross. Running right at that troop. Running across the road at him. That's dedication. Rakettenwerfers firing from downtown like Carl Malone, the mailman. Hitting that fighting position, destroying it. And only 1 man left on this HMG. Going to lose that HMG. Takes it. OKW takes it, but he may lose that right back. He might not make it out of here. This is going to be really close. And he might run away with that, coveting that precious HMG. Look at him run. Oh, loses it. Poor guy. Almost had it. But now it is in OKW territory, so they should be able to pick that up. Looks like this Volksgrenadier is going to walk over here and pick that precious HMG. The 50 cal HMG. Why not, right? Free HMG. Howitzer motor carriage out on the field now. Fun little vehicle in the game. Launches HE rounds at troops. And when it hits, blows them up pretty good. However, that just barely missed. All these troops going to be firing on these riflemen, and these riflemen are in big trouble. 3-star rifleman with a flamethrower. Oh, loses those. That's a big loss for the U.S. forces, a 3-star rifleman.
Rifle squad ready for action.
3-quarter ambulance over here reinforcing and healing, rather, troops. Also, I don't agree with a major all the way back at the base. I don't find a point in that. It does reduce the time, the run time, the retreat time back to the base by a little bit, but you might as well have it out in the field, just like the battle group headquarters for the OKW. Just seems a bit more strategic to have it out on the field. Riflemen now taking over this munitions point. However, it's already U.S. territory, but they're just defending it right now. Dropping the white phosphorus, preventing the OKW troops from walking across here. Jagdpanzer now out on the field. And just waiting for that Sherman to come along. And he does still have 2 Rakettenwerfers and that Jagdpanzer. So he does have a lot of anti-tank, just not really able to hit the tank with it, just not having good luck with it. Motor carriage firing rounds all the way at these Panzer Fusiliers, and these rear echelon troops are taking big heat from everything. Jagdpanzer now moving forward, going to hit this motor carriage. That motor carriage really needs to get out of there. Needs to get in this Sherman and bring that over and try and hit that in the back, or at least just go up and defend that, take the hits for that motor carriage. Backing up that motor carriage, playing ring around the rosy, ring around the house here. 2 Rakettenwerfers brought up now, destroys the motor carriage. He needs to get this Sherman out of here immediately. There's way too much firepower for that Sherman to handle. This Jagdpanzer is going to move around, going to try and back it up because he cannot move that turret, and loses the Sherman. Big loss for the U.S. forces. U.S. forces in deep trouble. Has most of the map, so they have most of the resources, but just simply losing way too many troops. Stern Pioneer now moving forward, going to try and take this munitions point here, but there's a lot of firepower. But the rear echelon troops moved out, going to try and steal this victory point from the OKW. Score so far, OKW 362 to 482. So the U.S. forces are definitely winning in terms of victory points. However, they have much less forces, and just now moving a Sherman Easy 8 onto the field. Volksgrenadiers moving forward, trying to take some of the deep U.S. territory here, trying to cut them off a little bit. Volksgrenadiers looks like they successfully took this territory point, now running away from the tank. 2-star Volksgrenadiers, only 2 men left. Immediately got to get them out of there. Might lose that. If he chases it down with the Sherman Easy 8, might be able to take down them troops if he's lucky. Sometimes you can get a lucky hit. 50 cal and a bunch of OKW troops now taking the munitions point here. 2 Panzer Fusiliers and Volksgrenadiers with Panzerschrecks. 2 Rakettenwerfers launching 2 rockets. It looks like it got hit twice by those rockets. Now down to just about over half health. So the OKW definitely has the advantage in terms of the anti-tank with 2 Panzer Rakettenwerfers there. 2 riflemen, a 3-star rifleman and a 2-star rifleman now battling out with these Panzer Fusiliers. I think they're going to do really well against those Panzer Fusiliers. But retreats them, not really sure I agree with that. Lieutenant against these Volksgrenadiers here with Panzerschrecks, and Panzerschreck lands right in the face of one of those troops, dropped one of them. Looks like he may lose this. But is lucky. It is a 3-star unit, so it does have quite a bit of good defense, so gets away. Retreats the Rakettenwerfer. Didn't realize that the lieutenant was going to retreat at the same time there. HMG against these 2 Panzer Fusiliers, but the Panzer Fusiliers are going to get out of the range of it. Needs a retreat because they did flank it, got out of the range. And may lose another 50 cal HMG to the OKW army. Going to take that. So now he has 2 HMG, 2 50 cals. And he will definitely take that. Why not? Rakettenwerfer all the way on the left side now, just waiting for the tank to maybe come around here. But he does not have the Sherman Easy 8. He lost that Sherman Easy 8, and I did not see that, unfortunately. I apologize for that. I did not see where it actually went down. I don't see the burning wreckage. He may have salvaged the burning wreckage with the Stern Pioneers. But did lose that Sherman Easy 8, so a big loss for the U.S. forces. The U.S. forces not doing so good right now. With this Jagdpanzer and every other Volksgrenadier with a Panzerschreck and 2 Rakettenwerfers. Just every time he brings out armor, he loses it. Here comes a 3-star lieutenant. Not too bad. Going to fire at these Volksgrenadiers inside this house. However, these Volksgrenadiers threw a grenade and has to retreat out of there. But didn't lose any, fortunately, but just lost a lot of health there. So it's going to take a while to heal that back up. And these riflemen taking this territory point, trying to move up to the OKW there. However, not a lot on the field for the U.S. forces right now, all pretty much back at the base. Actually, he did not lose that Sherman Easy 8. My bad. He's actually just decrewed it and is now repairing it. Threw me off. 1 lieutenant left here, just 1 troop out of the... And needs to run away and reinforce that immediately. And this 3/4-ton ambulance with its main gun destroyed. I don't know how that's possible because it doesn't have a gun anyway. But it certainly is. Volksgrenadiers with Panzerschrecks and Panzer Fusiliers moving into U.S. territory here, taking the munitions point and a territory point. So lots of resources going to be coming in for the OKW pretty soon here. However, 2 rifleman squads, 1 3-star, 1 2-star moving in here. Trying to regulate this situation here. Right in these Panzer Fusiliers' faces. I think he's going to lose a couple of these Panzer Fusiliers for sure because they just don't have the most health. They die pretty easy. Going to have to run those away. Volksgrenadiers Now moving up, Panzer Fusiliers also moving up. Volksgrenadiers inside this house with good cover, so they're gonna do just fine for a while here. Jagdpanzer now trying to fire at that Sherman Easy-8, however, it hit the hill. Slight incline there. Sherman Easy-8 backed up a little bit. Needs to repair it, although it's fine for battle for now. Jagdpanzer turning around. Ooh, he could have got that side armor. That was a decent opportunity, and he can't see that because the lieutenant is firing it, so he's going to try and rush this Jagdpanzer. But I don't suggest that because you're directly in front of that Jagdpanzer, and that is not the way to go. The front armor of the Jagdpanzer is just simply too good. And moves that Sherman Easy-8 and should have backed it up. Should always back your tanks up so that the front armor is facing your enemy. 2 Raketenwerfers firing at that Sherman Easy-8. Luckily, he didn't lose that. Looks like he has another motor carriage out on the field. Wasn't satisfied with losing that first one. Had to bring out a second one here. Stern Pioneers took the fuel point. Actually, didn't take the fuel point, just retreated before they took it. Not sure I agree with that. Should have at least neutralized it before running away. Jagdpanzer, 2 Raketenwerfers, Panzerschreck, Volksgrenadiers, and 2 HMGs in the middle. So this is well defended at, to say the least. Any armor or any troop that comes in this area, for that matter, is going to get suppressed and beat on pretty good. And here comes the motor carriage, moving up a little bit. Might be able to get some fire on these, but just can't see him. He just doesn't have any scouting going on right now, so doesn't really know where to fire. Just going to fire randomly. Looks like he missed pretty bad there. And I'm not sure if he's actually firing his HMG or not, or just randomly firing. Looks like, yeah, maybe he did see that HMG or where it was previously. Jagdpanzer with 1 veterancy star. That's the cautious movement ability. Volksgrenadiers 3-star with the Panzerschreck, taking the U.S. forces territory point here. Or what was their territory point now. Panzer Fusiliers taking this territory point on the right side, so now the OKW switching back and forth here, but the OKW looking like they're having the most of the map here. 2 stars for the OKW. Score so far, OKW 330, and they did bring the U.S. forces down to 426, but just not enough yet. Here come riflemen, 2 squads of riflemen at these Volksgrenadiers here, trying to force them out of here. Motor carriage also firing at them. If it gets a lucky hit, we'll take out several of them troops. But misses, only loses 2 of those troops, and the reason why they lost that second one was because they were in negative cover there. 3-star riflemen inside this house should get out and start moving over and taking some territory here. The Jagdpanzer out on the field, all the way over here, and here comes the Sherman Easy-8, going to chase away some of these troops. A lucky hit with that Sherman Easy-8, however, these Volksgrenadiers are now 4-star. Looks like just 3-star, actually. Volksgrenadiers gets these 2 riflemen. These 2 riflemen are in big trouble here. Wants to get those out of there. 2-star riflemen. Don't want to lose those. And chasing the Jagdpanzer. Not sure that's the best idea. Jagdpanzer has very good armor in the front. And just don't want to chase the Jagdpanzer. Now exposing his back armor to the Jagdpanzer. Not the best idea. Out of control and loses the tank. Bam, hits the house. I'm surprised it didn't take down that house. Definitely not the good idea. That's what you do not do against a Jagdpanzer. Do not just chase a Jagdpanzer. They're very easy to get around, but not the best idea to chase it directly. Because you're right facing that barrel, and it's going to be firing at you.
Let's give them hell, boys.
Lieutenant's moving back here, trying to get a little bit of cover in the bushes here.
Someone get us out of here.
Panzer Fusiliers moving up, but there are riflemen here, and riflemen in the building here. I think you should get those out of there. Start using them a little bit. However, they're going to come around. Nope, going to stay behind the cover here, but they are in negative cover. Going to throw a grenade in this building. I don't think he knows that. Might lose a few of these troops. Oh, almost loses the entire building. He's going to move back and try and throw another grenade as soon as it cools down. However, the riflemen do get out of there. Almost lost those riflemen there, just barely.
Men, lock and load.
Jagdpanzer out on the field still. For the U.S. forces, only a motor carriage and the ye ol' 3/4-ton ambulance. And 3 rifleman squads and his trusty lieutenant and his major, but his major's just sitting back at the base, and I just don't agree with the major in the base. The major can call in artillery and also as a retreat point. So if you set the retreat point even like up here or around here, somewhere safe, he could just be retreating to that major, and he wouldn't have to run all the way over here, which I don't suppose is the greatest distance, but I suppose he just doesn't want to lose that major. Riflemen moving out to the right side, going to start taking some of the territory points over here, and definitely needs to do that too because they are in a bad spot right now. However, I mean, technically they are winning, but just doesn't have the armor to deal with this huge OKW army. The OKW doesn't even have to build any more troops right now, just reinforce what he's got with his 2 Raketenwerfers and 2 50 cal HMGs that he did take from the U.S. forces, 2 Panzer Fusiliers, and 3 Panzer Grenadiers. And he does have a 4-star Panzer Grenadier, and I'm not sure, looks like 2 4-star Panzer Grenadiers. Riflemen firing at these Volksgrenadiers that are moving up, and they are in good cover, so they're going to do okay for quite a while here. And definitely still taking the right side standard territory point here with these riflemen. Although there are 2 Panzer Fusiliers just pummeling this building here, and these 2 riflemen are fighting Volksgrenadiers and 2 sets of Panzer Grenadiers, or Panzer Fusiliers. So they will be losing some troops here, and just got the 4-star on these Volksgrenadiers. Lieutenants running up and going to start regulating this situation here with their BAR running right up to them. Surprised they weren't in negative cover there. That is a road, technically, I would say. Motor carriage trying to fire with these troops. However, the Jagdpanzer is moving up. House gets destroyed. M36 Jackson tank destroyer out now. Not the most armored tank. Actually pretty light, and a lot of people complain about how easily it gets destroyed. However, it does have a very good, I believe it's a 90mm cannon on the front, which does very, very good, very good damage. Now the OKW taking back these 2 territory points here. Going to get themselves a lot of resources from that and take away the U.S. forces resources at the same time. So U.S. forces is definitely in trouble here, just losing at a pretty quick rate here. While the OKW doesn't have all 3 victory points, because the victory point for the U.S. forces is all the way over here. Very, very hard spot to take. Very easy to defend that. They are definitely losing 2 points at a time. Score so far 330 to the U.S. forces 352. Loses the motor carriage. Definitely didn't want to lose that. Jagdpanzer now moving back with its 2 stars. Improved optics, and it gets armor skirts. Small little armor skirts on the side there now. Chasing away those pesky stern pioneers with mine detectors there. Riflemen taking the territory point back. And we have some oversoldat in here against these riflemen, lieutenants here. But there is a 4-star Volksgrenadiers and Obersoldaten fighting them at the same time, so this lieutenant's definitely in trouble. And here comes a second 4-star Volksgrenadier, forcing the situation up here. And the U.S. forces just doesn't have much to deal with this. They have 4 squads of riflemen over this one over here. Nowhere near the action. This lieutenant is all alone. He needs to get to his riflemen over here. I just don't know where his riflemen are all at. Here's one, and here's another. Trying to push forward there, but just going to get pushed back by these 2 Panzer Fusiliers and Volksgrenadiers. And the Jagdpanzer's moving up. Also moving up is 2 Raketenwerfers, hoping that Jackson tank destroyer is going to go after this Jagdpanzer. Going to get hit by both of those Raketenwerfers. Not going to be a good situation if he does that. Grenade exploded on the ground, but didn't kill any riflemen. Got kind of lucked out there. Jackson tank destroyer all the way back at base, not doing anything. Not sure that's the best decision, although he doesn't want it out right now because there's so many Volksgrenadiers that it will just get struck by Panzerschrecks pretty much immediately. Now the U.S. forces in big trouble all the way back to their base. Don't have too much left. Just the fuel point over here, which looks like it's going to get taken by these Stern Pioneers. Panzer Fusiliers taking this munitions point, leaving the U.S. forces basically with this territory point here and the victory point. And they're going to be taking this territory point, but that doesn't leave them with much. Jagdpanzer all the way forward here. Gonna hit this Jackson tank destroyer if it moves anywhere, probably about to here. Gonna fire. Lieutenant and rifleman chasing away these Volksgrenadiers. Gonna take this territory point back. Definitely needs to start taking all of these back. Needs to just run this rifleman ahead and start taking this one and this one as well. Needs to get those resources back. Volksgrenadiers salvaging this world wreck here. Looks like a couple bodies inside of it. Not going to salvage the bodies. Going to leave those on the ground. Don't need those.
Area clear.
Troops chasing away those Obersoldaten. Going to have to run all the way back to base. Slightly camouflaged Jagdpanzer here, moving very slowly.
Better prepare our infantry.
Just came through.
And the U.S. forces have those M19s I always forget the name of this weapon, M19 bar. Or M19A6 light machine gun, that is. Oh, jeez, I'm just all off on those. Always confuses me, the bar and the light machine gun there.
Losing a capture point.
Stern Pioneer and Volksgrenadiers in this corner here, now taking the U.S. Forces victory points. So they're going to have all 3 victory points, going to lower the U.S. Forces down very quickly. However, these machine guns are very, very good. Tearing up forces, just chasing them all away. Chased away the 2 Panzer Fusiliers earlier, too. These riflemen here, right next to all these OKW troops, but they don't know it because they're all camouflaged here. Now seeing that. Chased away these Stern Pioneers as well. Going to start taking that territory victory point back as soon as possible. U.S. forces indeed starting to take the right side back. Two squads of 5-star Volksgrenadiers, very, very good troops here, moving in on these territory point. And the M. Jackson is right here. They see that Jackson, and it's going to take a couple hits from these Panzerschrecks. Needs to wake up and get it out of there. There he goes. And there's really nothing to stop these troops except for this machine gun emplacement, which will suppress them at best. Turning the tank around, not sure I agree with that. Don't turn your tank around. And the Major fighting back now. 2-star Major fighting back, killing off these troops here. Loses his Jackson tank destroyer. Didn't need to lose that. He doesn't seem to use the backup mechanic for the tanks. And he would do a lot better. He would have done a lot better in this entire time if he would have just backed his tanks up instead of trying to turn them around. If you click very far away from your tank, it will turn around and try and drive forward to that position. So often you need to use the U key or whatever you set it as. Typically, it's better to hotkey your backup tank button to maybe if you have a gaming mouse, to one of the extra buttons on your mouse. And it makes it a lot easier. Then you just click and use that button and you start backing up. Definitely a lot easier than struggling to press U and do it that way. And then actually having to click after you press U. Whereas if you just have it on set to a mouse, you can just click and you will start backing up instead of going forward with your tank. Because as soon as you expose your back armor and get hit by anything anti-tank related, you will take a lot of damage, even from as little as the PTRS anti-tank rifle. If they're shooting the back of a tank, they do big damage no matter what tank it is. Rifleman all the way up on the right side, took all the right side all the way up there. And this howitzer carriage is in a little trouble here. Takes a big shot from that Jagdpanzer. Got to back out of there. Not really going to do anything. Hits it in the front, does absolutely nothing. Loses that motor carriage. U.S. forces in big, big trouble now. Volksgrenadiers, 5-star, moving forward here. Was going after that motor carriage, but already destroyed. Don't need to do that. Not going to be able to salvage that motor carriage, though, because of this machine gun emplacement here. Now, U.S. forces moving over to the left side. Going to try and start taking this, too. Although they did take the right side. Looks like it's going to get taken back pretty quick by the OKW. However, they're being a little bit... making the OKW move around by taking all these. And that reduces the micro of your enemy. 2-star Stern Pioneers versus this Lieutenant here. And I'm surprised the Lieutenant was losing that. But the Stern Pioneers do such amazing damage at close range. And I can't believe they're actually... improving the Stern Pioneer in the newest patch. The newest patch notes, as I said earlier, will make it less costly to reinforce and will take less time to reinforce. And although they are only engineers, they do incredible damage at low. And looks like Vulpine actually surrendered the game. He just didn't have anything left, and he was turning his tanks around. I think that was the biggest mistake he had made in this game, is turning his tanks around and exposing his back armor to his enemy. Needs to start backing up a little bit. Anybody watching this and looking for some tips, try and hotkey your backup tank button to a mouse button or something a little bit easier for you, and always back up your tank. Sometimes I back up my tank even if I'm all the way like out here and I took damage and I need to back it up to my base. I will actually back it up the entire way. It doesn't go any slower. I think backing it up doesn't go any slower, and then you'll be safe the entire way. Say there's some grenadiers here and you're backing up and they hit you with a Panzerschreck and you're already low health and it hits you in the front, might not destroy your tank. So always keep that in mind. Victor today goes to momo4sho. A really good game. Really enjoyed casting this game. And I will see you guys next time.